Greetings, this is Star Illumination. It's Saturday, 28th of October over here, 2023. This is just to be a brief video to get it on record to, I would say, validate or let's just say correlate my previous notes about what's going on with these eclipses and show how that lines up with the astrology itself. Just think of it as physics. I'm not a physicist, I'm not an expert. Think of it as sacred geometry. Just imagine the planets orbiting in their solar system, just doing what they do. It's magnetism, it's gravity, it's all highly predictable. I use this thing here, it's called an ephemeris. It's the same thing they use in NASA for predicting all the, pathways to travel in outer space, because they can do the physics and calculate the gravitational pull and the acceleration that they can get by looping a satellite around a planet and so on. Like there's a satellite zooming around the sun right now, taking incredible images and collecting vast amounts of incredible data that we've never seen before. Anyway, back to the eclipse. My main theme was global finances. What I expected to see was some kind of indication in the global mainstream media, or at least what I consider mainstream media, media content that is what I consider highly credible, highly trustworthy, as opposed to some of the propaganda that is just saturating the media. It's sometimes hard to filter through and find out things that are genuine. So I'm going to share a couple things that I believe are genuine, because I like to do my homework in that regard. And it's just my opinion, okay? What I'm sharing is my opinion. First of all, I want to go to the chart, the actual chart itself. Let me share that with you here. So this is a super hyper simplified Tarot Illumination astrodoodle of this full moon eclipse, 28th of October 2023. All I've done is illustrate the eclipse itself. So we have the sun, Mars, and Mercury pretty tight up here in the 8th house, Scorpio. Let's mark it, actually, 8th house. Okay. 8th house. And one of the themes for the 8th house in Western astrology is OPM, other people's money. Actually, I better write it, shouldn't I? Other people's money. And then over here in Taurus, the 2nd house, let's just call it your money. Why not? Your money. Then we have to clarify a few things where there's a difference between currency and money. Over here in the 2nd house, Taurus vibes, we're talking about money, tangible things like stuff that you own that has value. Your own birth, the gifts that you have from birth. Maybe you're a good linguist. Maybe you're good with math. Maybe you're good with cooking. Maybe you're good with, I don't know, relationships and families. Maybe you're good with kids or pets. Maybe you have valuable skills and you can make money from that or something. And that correlates very strongly with your beliefs, values and beliefs. This would also equate to things like maybe if you own some gold or some silver, or you own physical things of value, like a collectible watch, or maybe you own a house outright or a car outright, and you've paid off all your debts and loans or whatever, and the money that you have is yours. You have custody and ownership of that money. And then you realize a lot of that is being extracted from you and moved from you over to here to the place of other people's money, which would include things like the banks, your financial managers, the central banking system of America and the world, insurance policies, your retirement funds, your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid, your pensions. Maybe you had a job that gives you a pension when you get old and retire. All that's in the world of other people's money, and that is managed by other people that are not you. When you deposit, either through the taxes or through withdrawals from your money and your earnings, and you put it from here over to here, it's effectively not yours anymore. They have ownership and control over it, and at their discretion, they return that to you. Like the mythology, of course, is like with Social Security. You work for, in America, you work for decades to earn enough so that when you are old and weary, you can collect your Social Security, and the money that you put over there comes back to you here, 30, 40 years later or something. And it sounds great as a plan, but there are advocates who feel like, well, why don't you just own all your own money? Why do you continually allow yourself to be taxed and scammed into putting all your money from here to here? It's become so extreme now that it's impossible to ignore. The world of other people's money is highly corrupt, highly manipulated, and is becoming more and more obvious across the world. And there's tons of, let's say, video content, material to back up what I'm saying here. And a lot of people are realizing they cannot trust the banks, the central bank, their bankers, their governments, their leaders that all work in collusion to basically extract your money from you and put it back to them in their world where they have it and play with it. At this moment across the world is completely out of control. And the simplest, most obvious examples are China and America. China-America, it's kind of all one thing. There's a very kind of sick marriage between China and America, but that's another video. And with this eclipse, you have to understand what is being eclipsed. The solar new moon eclipse 2 weeks ago was the alarm bell flashing, telling me that big money problems are going to occur. Some money is going to be eclipsed out of your life, your world, and not at the personal level and the global level. And we are going to understand more what that looks like when the moon 2 weeks later, where we are today, comes into full opposition, so you can see it. Now, this would be, in astrology, it's a full opposition. So pretend it's like first house, seventh house, okay? There's nowhere to hide, okay? This is the house of complete exposure, like the mirror degree in relationship, 180 degrees. You're face on with yourself and the other. The other is face on with you and themselves. There's nowhere to hide. You are fully aware of the best and the worst of each other. And that's now on full display because it has come full circle, and it is now on full display in the media, as I was, it sounds horrible, as I was expecting and wanting to see. And the reason I wanted that is because I wanted validation of my opinions, concepts, and beliefs. So what I believe we are seeing is an implosion, a global financial implosion in the making. And I needed to see it in words and pictures, not just coming out of my mouth. I needed to see it on third-party content where they don't know me, I don't know them, they don't do astrology, they're just doing finance and politics and reporting of global news. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to share a screen. Let's see what that looks like. Hold on, I got to stop the, I got to go back over here. Give me a moment. I'm not used to recording and making videos this way. Okay, so let me share with you the two sides. Well, I want to show you the Scorpio, other people's money side of the relationship. Okay, so I'm going to share a couple of things here. Okay, here we go. So This is a gentleman I respect very highly. He's comes from outside the banking world, and I consider him an authority. Why is this thing getting in the way? Okay. His name is George Gammon, okay, over here. And he has a channel that focuses exclusively on banking and finance, what happens behind the scenes, behind the veil, the actual mechanisms, the tools, the operations that go on in the global banking system, especially the United States, especially the United States Federal Reserve, and all the major American banks that are the owners and stockholders of the Federal Reserve, and the retail big name banks that you all know that are extensions of the Federal Reserve banking system. And well, you can see from the title here, the banking system will collapse 24th of March, or in March 2024. Now, why is he saying that? Well, you can watch the video. I'm not going to play it all here, but this is just another video. The shocking thing about this one is that all previous videos, I feel, have led up to this moment. And I believe he's very good at explaining the mechanics in such a way that a layperson like myself can at least partially understand. And essentially what he is describing is the implosion of the American banking system, the United States Federal Reserve banking system, which is working in collaboration with the United States government treasury and the United States executive branch, in other words, the White House and the current administration. So there's a trifecta. There's three entities operating as a team in the world of other people's money that essentially own your money. It's actually currency, but they extract that from you and it becomes money to them. And so, you know, the central banks and the bankers are notorious for having a sort of duality. Like they're there to help you and protect you and look after your assets, but what they're actually doing is extracting for their benefit, often at your demise. You just need to watch some of the storylines that have come out about some of the banking collapses and implosions that have already recently happened in America. That's just the tiny tip of the iceberg about how bad it really is. This is not a video about how the banking system works or deep diving into the mechanisms of the collapse. All I'm trying to do is put a timestamp here. Now, I've already made videos about my timestamp, which is this one right now. This, I mentioned weeks ago that these eclipses would illustrate very stark, simple ways that we are looking at a global financial catastrophe of some kind. How we feel it personally, it's another story, because the banking system is very, very good at, let's say, creating an illusion that everything's okay. And they play for the very, very long term, but certain issues come out as very specific timestamps. And I believe they can be correlated very closely with the astrology. For example, when Pluto moved into Capricorn 0 degrees around the middle of 2008, 2009, guaranteed financial catastrophic implosion, which is what happened. They call it the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis. What we're looking at today is magnitudes of order on a much, much bigger scale of crisis. So that's the epicenter of this crisis is here in the United States, but it has a reciprocal center, locus, on the other side of the world, and that is China. So I'm going to share that right now. Okay, here we are. This is from the Epoch Times, okay? One of the, I believe, most trustworthy sources in the world. And here, the storyline here is, this is today, this is fresh today. China's Xi Jinping the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, has made an unprecedented visit to the Chinese central bank as the Chinese developers struggle with insolvency. That's the Chinese real estate market and economy, which is a huge part of the Chinese economy. I've been stating for probably a year or two now that China is imploding. Their economy is imploding real time, and it's happening right now. 200 million people in China are scrambling around just trying to find a day job that pays $1 an hour. Then there's another 200 million on top of that who are trying to find day jobs that pay $2, $3, or $4 an hour because they have education. And then there's like 200 million. Anyway, China is in very, very deep trouble. And typically Chinese leaders of the Communist Party don't bother to visit the central bank because the central bank is basically an extension of the Chinese Communist Party. But things are so bad in China that Xi Jinping has had to dig in to find out what exactly is going wrong and how bad is it, because it's impossible for him to ignore or deny that his country is imploding. And that's not good news for him, because he made it his plan to be the most glorious, powerful leader in the world and take over the whole planet, turn the whole of planet Earth into a Chinese communist, like a plantation, CCP, where he is the sole appointed ruler and everything. And then he's been making amazing headways into that, but it's all based on a fraudulent system, just like we have in America with the United States Federal Reserve banking system. He basically learned everything by copying what we do in America, but what we do in America is a very, very beautifully, powerfully constructed, effective fraud. It's fiat money, owned and operated by the United States Federal Reserve. So he thought, well, if they can do it in America, we can do it here. And it's backfiring very badly in America, and now it's backfiring very badly in China. But in China, it's on a much worse scale because they don't have the years of experience that we have in America about perpetrating the fraud. So Xi Jinping is in very, very deep trouble. His whole country, his economy is in very deep trouble. And some of the content that I'm reading is being kind of polite. It's very bad. There's a lot of extreme poverty there, and it's growing like a contagion. So you put these things together, okay? Here we are. There's George, just one guy, describing what I believe is true. And there's over here, the Epoch Times, describing what I believe is true. Both of these storylines are exactly what I was hoping to see, just to validate my own opinions. It's very tragic, it's frightening, it's sad, but I feel vindicated. And I just wanted to put that out there, that astrology does have meaning and purpose. And maybe if more people understood it, then we could deal with these things a little bit better. Anyway, I'm going to stop the share for now and say farewell and have a super day. And we'll get updated. I'll probably see you guys on Sunday night. Okay? Take care, everyone. I hope this video made sense to you. Bye.